Hi everyone, and welcome back to Teachers Talk Money, where I help teachers master their money in order to give back to themselves. Today we're going to be going through the best side hustles for teachers and my personal tips and tricks into how to make the most of each of these side hustles. The first category I wanted to talk to you guys about is school-based side hustles. So this would be any stipended position at your school, like sponsoring a club or coaching a sport. I have experience personally doing both of these things because I run the newspaper at my school, which I receive a stipend for, and I coach a sport. I'm going to do an entirely separate video on the pros and cons of taking these stipended positions, especially with coaching, which tends to be much more of a time commitment. But to give you a general overview of it, these positions are awesome because you get to know the students in a totally different capacity outside of the classroom. It has been the best way for me to build relationships with students, and it's super fun, especially if you have a sport that maybe you did in high school or that you enjoy. But these positions also tend to be very, very time consuming and very low paying. So if you're going to take on one of these positions, do not do it for the money. I would only recommend taking on one of these positions if it is something that you are already passionate about. If that is the case, that's an awesome way to make that extra income. But if you don't feel that way, I would not go for it. I don't think it will be worth it to you. The second category of side hustles is tutoring in your content area. There are two different ways to go about this because you can either work for a tutoring company or you can self-market yourself and just kind of be a contract tutor, basically. And there are pros and cons to each. The benefit of going with a tutoring company that's in your work area or near where you live is that you don't have to find your own clients. But they tend to be lower paying because there's the middleman of the tutoring company that needs to take some money off the top of what the client is paying. If you are a self-contractor and you just work with individual families, you tend to be able to make a lot more money because you've cut out that middleman, and you can always change your rates if you decide that your time is worth a different amount. This is where the big bucks tend to come in because for very limited time, you can make a lot of money tutoring, especially if you already live or work near an area that is more affluent and parents will spend more money on tutors for their children. But if you have to find all of your clients yourself, you have to spend time marketing. The difficulty here comes with how many clients can you really find, and therefore how scalable is your tutoring business. There are a couple things you can do to make this easier, like marketing yourself on care.com or a tutoring specific website like Wyzant, which is WYZANT.com. And these are great ways to get your name out there, but I believe they do take a cut off the top, at least in the case of Wyzant. I'm not sure about care.com. So if you are open to spending a little bit more of your time marketing, you can make a lot more money through just kind of marketing yourself versus doing the tutoring company route. And you can set your own hours, which is a huge benefit too. So if you want to get into tutoring, which I highly recommend, I would just choose which path is best for you. The third best side hustle for teachers is Teachers Pay Teachers, which I'm sure you've heard of or perhaps have bought lessons or resources from before. I personally have never purchased anything from Teachers Pay Teachers, and I have not sold any of my resources on Teachers Pay Teachers yet, though I might get into this in the future. Basically, while each county's curriculum is different, you can take lessons and readjust them to make them a little bit more universal and make them things that teachers in multiple counties and multiple grade levels will want to use. That being said, and I know this just based on learning about Teachers Pay Teachers on the internet and my one friend who sells on Teachers Pay Teachers, in order to make it really lucrative, you have to do a little bit of that self-marketing that we talked about in the tutoring portion of this video. A great way to do this is to create a teachergram or use your teacher Instagram to market the products that you are putting up. You can still make good money on Teachers Pay Teachers without doing this outside marketing, but it tends to work a lot better if you can use an audience you already have or create an audience on an Instagram that can then purchase from you on Teachers Pay Teachers. And that just kind of comes down to the discoverability of your products on the website. Finally, I'm going to talk about some apps that you can use to earn a side income, though these don't have anything to do with teaching necessarily. The beautiful thing about having a side hustle that doesn't relate to what you do in your day job is that you're a lot less likely to get burnt out. Speaking from my own personal experience and the experiences of many coaches that I have talked to, it's really easy to get burnt out when you're spending all day in your school building working with students. As much as we love doing that, you are giving a lot of your time and energy to one specific thing, and it's great to feed into other passions. So here are 3 apps you can consider. Number 1 is Rover, which is an app where you can be a dog walker or any kind of pet sitter. This is awesome for dog lovers and people who have experience caring for dogs. I think that the only prerequisite for this is that you have that experience caring for a dog before you actually do this, because this is a living creature that you're going to be taking care of. That being said, if you do have that experience and you really like dogs, I really can't imagine a better way to make side income. The second app I'll talk about is TaskRabbit, which is an app where you kind of just do random odds and ends, whatever tasks somebody needs to get done. So I've heard of people hiring TaskRabbits to put together IKEA furniture, or hiring TaskRabbits to stuff envelopes. It can be a wide range of things that you're asked to do, and you can just accept a job or ignore it. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about ride sharing and food delivery apps. Ride sharing, I think, is not for everyone. I know that personally, as a woman, I wouldn't feel super secure having other people come into my car. And that's if I could be a rideshare driver. I cannot, because my car is actually too old. So this really is not an inclusive thing to get into. That being said, if it's something you're comfortable with, it's not a bad way to spend your time making extra money. Food delivery is a little bit safer and there are more options. You don't have to do Uber Eats, you can do DoorDash or Postmates or anything like that. And all of these are really easy to sign up for. Just make sure that you're okay with your car smelling like food, because it will. When you're considering a side hustle, it's important to choose something that is not going to make you burn out. So like I said, doing something that isn't related to your day job is an awesome idea. But even more significant than that, choosing something that you are passionate about that doesn't have to do with your day job is probably your best bet. This might even be starting a business about something that isn't even on this entire list of side hustles that I talked to you about. For example, I'm doing this YouTube channel, I have a blog and my Instagram because it doesn't have to do with my job and because it is something that I am passionate about outside of my teaching career. As long as you consider all of these things before you choose your side hustle, you have a lot of potential to be successful. I do want to note really quickly that side hustling is not for everybody. It is kind of a grind, whether you're doing something that's school related or related to your job or an outside thing that is totally unrelated, because you already have a full-time job. And on top of that, we all know that the full-time job of being a teacher is extremely demanding compared to other jobs. That being said, I think that getting a side hustle is an awesome idea to accelerate debt repayment, to accelerate your emergency fund savings, or to accelerate your investment accounts and perhaps be able to retire earlier than you would otherwise. Personally, I think it's really important to set a time frame or a goal for that side hustle. For example, you can have a side hustle while you're getting out of debt that you then drop once you've finally gotten out of debt. And in my case, I plan to continue being a coach for my entire teaching career, if not beyond my teaching career. But that's not one that's going to necessarily make me burn out all the time, because it's a seasonal position. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on side hustles. Comment below if you have a side hustle that is not on this list, or if you do one that is on this list and you would like to offer some insight. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to Teachers Talk Money if you want more teacher money content. Have an amazing week, you guys, and I will see you next week.